Greg's coming?
He's not.
No.
Well, the chair was there for Sue, I just didn't know who was gonna come first, but, by all means,
Okay, I'll just move over.
absolutely.
That way I'm not shouting.
Yeah. Sounds good. All right, officially opening the regular meeting for Dayton Zoning Board of Appeals, Tuesday, January 28th. The time is 7:02, call to order. If we could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, first on our very, very brief agenda is to confirm our next meeting date, which will be February 2025. Is that a school? It's not school vacation week, it's before that, so should be good to go.
Is it school vacation week?
No.
No.
No, it'll be the 16th
It's
to the
not.
20th, so,
It'll be the 25th.
That's the next meeting.
Yeah.
the 20th.
all right. So the first thing that we will do is review, discuss, and act on consider and approve authorization request for appointment of special counsel, Marguerite Mitchell, Esquire of Mitchell Law Office, 200 Belmont Street, Suite 200, Brockton, Mass. This is something that, as my position of chair, that I had been aware of and in discussions with the necessary parties, but Marguerite is here. Do you want us to read your letter into the record, or should you want to speak on behalf of it? We do have it part of our packet.
Sure, I mean, I can speak on behalf of it if you want.
Sure. Absolutely.
So the Board of Selectmen, under Article 3 of your town bylaws, has authority to appoint and employ counsel, legal counsel, competent legal counsel. The language is, whenever in the board, necessity therefore arises. And I have been representing the town through town council, through an arrangement with town council that has come to an end. And so I am offering, if the board is interested in continuing my work to represent the Zoning Board of Appeals, but to do that, because I'm no longer doing that through town council, I would need the Board of Selectmen to appoint me in the capacity of special counsel for the Zoning Board of Appeals. And that is likely only going to happen with a request and an authorization from this board to ask the Board of Selectmen to do that. And so that's what's before you tonight. Because of the work that I do on a full-time basis, I cannot represent the board in litigation. It would represent a conflict for my full-time work that I do. As you know, I maintain my law practice as a side business. I'm available at nights. I'm available outside of normal business hours to support the board, and I am available to support the board on local issues that arise. Should a need for litigation arise, which luckily this board doesn't have a lot of, I would certainly be happy to provide recommendations to the board about whether they should have town council take that up or some other special counsel at that time. And then the board would certainly need to check with the Board of Selectmen to get that authorization if it's not town council. I also am more than willing to maintain the rate that town council charges the town for its services, so I would not charge a different rate for the services that I perform for the zoning board if I was to continue to provide all local zoning legal services to the board.
So a question that I had on that, because I know something that I was obviously aware of, but we didn't go too much onto that because that was more of like a what if. In the event that we vote, it is approved, and then it goes before the selectmen, do they see your rate before or after? Like, is that something that they can say, we were for it, then we saw the rate, hypothetically we said no? Like, how does that process work?
So I've submitted into the record a draft engagement letter that I would propose to send to the Board of Selectmen.
Right.
Along with a fee agreement that they would
That
need
would
to
go along with
sign,
this,
and so
okay.
that would have all of the terms ahead of time that they would see at the time that they voted for the appointment. So I'm looking to have them vote, if they're going to do this, assuming the board tonight approves it, and assuming we move to the selectmen, I would ask that the selectmen not only appoint me, but also enter into the fee agreement at the same time, so that we can take care of all the paperwork at once.
Right. Good, John.
So Marguerite, does that mean that all billing now and everything is done directly to you?
Correct.
So,
As opposed to-
John, it's actually funny that you say that because, and I actually literally said this where, when I sign any bills, whenever we have anything from Marguerite, it says gay and gay on the letterhead.
Yep.
I forget that it's technically gay and gay. So it's, to me, it's almost on paper. If that wasn't there, there's really not much of a difference.
Yeah.
So right now, it's technically, she's getting paid through gay and gay, essentially. So that part would end. It would just be through her instead of through gay and gay. There's really no difference on, it's not, I mean, obviously, you know, a financial difference that the town sees with their fee schedule, but for the board at our level, there's really going to be no difference, except for the event that litigation should happen. But that's only when if someone were to challenge a regular decision of ours.
The only other question I would have then, I guess, with that, in that respect, is because technically it was through gay and gay before as town council. Was gay and gay under, was our contract with gay and gay capped at a certain amount per year for not for litigation, but for legal counsel for different departments and so forth? And is that a factor that can enter into this if there's a cap? Because there could be situations coming up, like if there's a 40B or something, where a lot of hours are needed, and I just don't know if there's a different cap that we have to look at.
So I have no idea what the budget approval is for town council services.
Me neither.
All I can say is that the work that I did, that I've been doing for the board, and the arrangement that I had previously been approved through the Board of Selectmen. They were well aware of the consultant arrangement that I had, and it was publicly, you know, it was public document, public approval. Many, many years ago. I'm now thinking perhaps around 20 years ago or so.
Because I was actually talking to my dad about it, and my dad remembers
Perhaps 15.
My dad remembers being on the board when Marguerite wasn't council yet. So that is
Somewhere
quite a
between
long
15.
time ago.
I mean, I'm personally, to be honest, separately from that, I'm really, really happy with everything that you've provided the board.
Thank you.
And it's always been spot on and very easy to comprehend and understand, and you're amenable to all the questions we have, everything that goes with it. I don't know. I assume that that's not going to be an issue.
What part would be an issue?
The issue of, you know, if there are things that require significant amount of hours and so forth. Just to make sure we don't have to go back to the Board of Selectmen, I'm assuming.
No, the only, for lack of a better term, issue would be, should we face any litigation from an abutter or something?
Then that's a separate.
And then that would, Marguerite could not be part of
understand,
that. That would have to go before town. That would have to be, town council would have to be involved for that. But again, I past several weeks I've been talking to my dad as chairman and of the selectmen and as a town administrator and Marguerite talking about all this. And in my memory, we haven't had any challenge on a regular decision. We had one thing that someone contemplated challenging, but we ended up years ago taking the case back under advisement. So in my time, I don't think we've really had anything gone to litigation for a regular.
There's been very limited.
Not since I've been on the board.
Since you've been on the board, I think perhaps that was the circumstance.
And that never did. That was the closest that we got.
It's been very, very limited. And the only open one that you have right now has to do with Strawberry Fields, technically that one's in limbo at the moment because it's been appealed. So the decision's been issued and now it's been appealed. The appeal, I'm not sure where it stands. It's in the process of getting potentially filed and then served. And so once that is known and once it's known what the appeals court will do, and I don't know where the appeals court sits with respect to honoring the town's passive litigation defense policy that the Superior Court was more than willing to honor, and we were able to file a notice with them. So there was an obligation for me to be aware of what was happening, but I certainly did not have to show up for any matters. I plan to explore with the appeals court, if this does actually get filed and served, explore with the appeals court if they would be open to honoring that or not, and that will help me advise you about which direction to go in with regard to obtaining counsel for the appeal.
One thing that I definitely want to say publicly is that we are, I think, beyond lucky that Marguerite is willing to do this because hypothetically, she could have said, I was with Gay and Gay, that's not happening anymore. "Bye guys, it's been fun," but she, not in those words, but she has said, "No, I don't want to do that. I just, for whatever reasons, it didn't work out with her and getting engaged. She's like, I like the zoning board. I want to stay with you guys, but we would just have to do this in order to make this happen." So,
Yep. No, as I said, I think for the years that I've been here, everything that you've done, said, communicated, shared, just every way you've done it has been.
yeah, I mean, I'd be lost if you weren't here. I certainly don't want it any other way. I mean, I know Greg's not here, but I highly doubt Greg would be saying anything different than what we're all saying right now. I mean, is this something that we can do this vote without the full board, right? It just.
Well, you're a 3-member board.
So we're good to make, because Sue's not here, and we knew that Greg and Dave weren't coming. But is there anything else that you think?
We are here 3, right?
Yes. No one on Zoom, so it's literally just those 3.
So don't we need a quorum?
We do.
What about Dave?
We have 3.
You're a 3-member
We're a
board.
3-member board. So we have 3.
Oh, okay. Because we have 7 members altogether.
Correct. Right. Is there anything else that you feel like? So just so you guys all know, I mean, I've had back and forth discussion with Ralph. I met with Ralph and talked to Marguerite at least twice on the phone about it, a lot in details and like what hiccups could there be, what all the alternatives. And from what I gather, I don't know how the selectmen will vote, but it's certainly something that I was not advised by them. I really don't think that's going to be best. Again, they haven't said we're going to vote yes. That's not something they can say. I don't know. But I didn't get the feeling that they were like, might want to, go a different route. So, I think we have a good chance this will go through, but I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I think we should authorize can I make a motion to?
You can't, is there anything else you feel like you want to add, or? So, go for it.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the authorization request for appointment of Special Counsel Margaret Mitchell.
Is there
I couldn't hear your whole motion, but I'll second it.
Okay.
any discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Carrie
you.
was, I think,
Delighted.
already aware that we were going to be trending that direction. So Carrie,
If you could send a letter to our legal counsel to let her know
I'll let her know. I'll advise her.
touche, John, touche. So the selectmen meet not tomorrow,
I don't think so. I think it's next
so
week.
next week. So I would assume they can get on their agenda by then,
Yeah.
because
I'll get it to 'em
because this is
tomorrow.
one thing too that technically as of right now, like Marguerite is not getting paid for zoning right now because we haven't. So we have no technical legal counsel aside from town council right
No,
now
but
for
I
zoning.
think we have plenty of time, even if they don't.
Right, 'cause
do
we
it
wouldn't be
tomorrow.
until
If they
February,
can't
so
get
there
it
would be
on
at
the
least one
agenda
right.
next week.
So even God forbid they took it under advisement, it would
Right.
still be okay by our next meeting. That's kind of where I was thinking with
Yeah.
based on like the weeks and how it all fell. But
And then will you be able to go to the selectmen's meeting if they have any questions? If not, I have to go for something else. I can go as the.
I will. I don't think I'll have to. I mean, unless they request, or I can if. Because I can say this because my dad, as chairman, spoke to Marguerite already about this. It's not. This is going to be news to them. It's something that they are aware of. So if that wasn't the case, then maybe they would want us to be there to ask our questions about it. But the biggest reason why I looped the chairman of the selectmen on this is because not as the chairman of selectmen, but because my dad was chairman of zoning for years with Marguerite. He's the one that really knows the legal relationship and literal relationship with Marguerite. So I was like, he's probably the best one to shed light on this. You know what I mean? So they are very well aware of, well, at least the chairman is well aware of what's going to be coming.
The other
But no, if I needed to, I certainly could. But
We can't not.
well,
I feel like we can't not approve.
I know like, when she was telling me, I'm like, are you breaking up with us? All right, so we are skipping, as you can see on our agendas crossed out, is Stonegate Landing LLC Westerly side of Somerset Ave, map 9, status update of phase 1, so we will skip over that. Last thing on our agenda for reviews and act is the proposed fiscal year budget of 2026. Which, John, have you had a chance to review it yet?
I did this.
Fantastic. Carrie, can you walk us through anything that looks, I mean, it's pretty
Pretty straightforward, but we were asked to reduce our budget by 2.5%. I didn't come to 2.5%, but it was pretty close. So basically,
We don't have how much to cut.
we don't.
You know what I mean? Like,
and
what,
that's-
like what, take $100 off office supplies? Like, you know what I mean? We don't have, because we're one of those boards where,
We don't, it's a minimal budget. It's a very minimal budget. So, I mean, they're aware of that too. So, what I did was I took out the overtime line, cause we never use overtime. That was $500.
well, I guess the one thing that I have then actually goes along with this, with the new fee schedule that Marguerite will represent, will that need to change our budget at all?
I don't think so. If she's keeping the rate the same, it would be coming out of our professional technical line for anything that it would hit on that. Otherwise, it's billed to the applicant.
Okay, so then, okay.
So, and then for our professional technical line, I did reduce that down by 500. We've only used,
Jesus.
we didn't use that much,
So
so
kidding.
2,100. And then in the.
But we also know that we have things coming up potentially that we need that. I mean, if Arborcrest this year.
Right, but
You
we
know what I
can't go back up. They
No, I
want
know,
us
but
to
I'm saying,
cut.
like, I'm like, why didn't you cut it even more if you didn't use that much of it? But wait, you know, it's one of those things that,
Right,
like,
right.
you're right. You see, if you didn't over half of it, you didn't use. Why not then cut it? But it's like, well,
Well,
Yeah.
again, I mean, the developer pays for,
Right,
there's a
right, right.
53G account that's used for any of
Right,
the work I do
that's
on
true.
40Bs.
right,
Except
right.
for Arborcrest, though, I thought we didn't with Arborcrest.
So
No, legal fees.
the appeal, anything that I'm doing on the actual permit itself was covered by 53G. The legal appeals were not, but that was years ago.
right.
So, you know, again, what we're expecting back with Arborcrest, and there may be an appeal perhaps, who knows, but at least before the board would be possibly a modification request, possibly a request to approve final plans and get moving on final, legal documents, et cetera. And those types of things are generally covered through the 53G account. So this number, probably represents anything that might have been considered general zoning, legal questions. Perhaps there may have been some zoning decisions where the board didn't vote to approve something, and so typically, in that case, the board pays for the
Right.
cost of the zoning decision
Right.
to be written. I'd have to go back and see what that number truly reflected, but that seems about,
And obviously, Carrie, the education stipend, that's per the union contract, right, for you?
Correct.
I'm not arguing it. I'm more just reminding myself of that.
Yep. So I also took off the communications line, we use that for postage.
Right.
We've only used $34, so I reduced that down. I took 100 out of that. And then in our office supplies, we had 1,000, I reduced it to 5.
When you cut that in half, I mean,
100.
that's a pretty good.
Yeah, we've
Do-
only
do-
used $40.
Do you feel like that's sufficient for you?
Right now, that we actually, I have a WB Mason delivery tomorrow.
And
which is-
planning pays some of it too on their, I assume for their half for
Well, they
you.
have their own budget.
That's what I mean. So it's like they,
Correct.
right.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's about it.
I mean-
Those were the places I could cut.
I don't think that we did the best that we could. I think we did all that we could.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, there's really, like I said, there's really not much more. I don't think we could have done.
Right.
Like stuff like dues and subscriptions. That's something that a board can typically cut back on. Like, for example,
Right, but we don't even have that
so
line
for
anymore.
example, for historical commission, like what was in their budget historically was enough for 3 people to go to a conference. 3 people have never gone to a conference, so they put it down to 2, sometimes even 1.
Right.
Like that's a reasonable place to you can cut, but like it's like, okay, do you want Carrie to have no binders? So you know what I mean? It's kind of like some things you can't really
There
do
are some
away
things
with.
I need.
Yeah.
So, that's about it. Pretty easy.
Okay. John.
Mr. Chairman, I make
Sure.
a motion
Go
that
for
we
it.
approve the budget for fiscal year 25-26.
Is there a second?
I second that.
Any discussion?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye?
Aye. Carrie, any correspondence?
No.
Public input? Obviously, there's no one here tonight in person. Any board members have anything you want to address? But, did you guys get the email about the potential dates for the workshop with planning? It's a handful of Wednesday, Thursday.
Were you looking for specific times, Carrie, in that? Like,
I just estimated times because I'm gonna do like a poll of everyone on what they can do and then go from
so
there.
before I respond, is the overall consensus to do it late in the afternoon, evening?
Yeah, late afternoon,
Late as in,
late afternoon, evening,
late, how early afternoon? Like, I know late afternoon, like 4 o'clock?
or you could even do noon time. I don't know how many would
If,
be
if,
able
if
to.
it's
'Cause
during
they
if it's
might-
during the week, it's gonna be when I'm done with school. So I mean, if I'm in Swansea, the earliest I could be here would be 4 o'clock.
Okay,
So
if you wanna just put down 4 o'clock, that.
4 o'clock
works.
on during the week is fine.
Okay.
Anything after 4 o'clock is fine.
And how long are these sessions supposed to last?
Sessions is in
Training.
Well, that's a good question. I'm thinking maybe 1 hour, unless you think it might be more. And then if we need to schedule another workshop, we can.
So those of who would be in attendance would be us as a board, planning, Jim, any other town.
I invited, I CC'd Ralph,
Right.
Bitico, the town administrator.
Yep.
So those are the only ones right now.
And who's
Because
doing-
right now it's just drafting it, and then we would have a public hearing where anyone who would want to make changes, suggestions, whatever.
John, were you? I know. Elise definitely was not. John, were you on the board when we had to revisit the marijuana dispenser? Oh, sorry, I'm not marijuana.
Yes.
Solar bylaw.
Yep.
So, do you remember how we met in the basement of town hall?
Yeah.
This is going to be something along those lines,
Okay.
where it's going to be like it'll be posted, but it's not going to be like a. The other night was us attending their meeting.
Yep.
This is going to be neither. We're not going to be attending ours. It's going to be
a training session, in effect, a working session.
Yeah, I wouldn't say training per se, because we're not. It's not like we're all going to be listening to a seminar. It's going to be us discussing how we feel about what the bylaw changes should be and how we feel. And Jim's going to provide some of his input on how we feel about.
Do we still have to have a quorum?
Do we what?
Do we still have to have a quorum?
Yeah, would it be,
Because we
would
still
it be a
have to-
posted
we have to-
meeting?
Do we
If
have
it's
to-
have to be.
if a quorum shows up, I have to post it.
Okay, so,
I'll post it.
okay,
For both, yeah,
Yeah, for both.
all right,
for both. Right.
all right.
That's really the only discussion that I had. I mean,
Yeah, I'll respond in writing, just so that everybody sees my response.
yeah, just to be clear, so we can hit reply all to that, right?
Yeah, yes.
Because it's not going to affect anything. Okay. All right. Anything else before we move on to the approval of meeting minutes? All right. Approval of meeting minutes for December 2nd, 2024. Is there a motion on the floor to approve?
Make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of December 2nd, 2024.
Is there a second?
I second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
Is there a motion on the floor to approve the meeting minutes of January 15th, 2025?
That was the one where you attended the planning board.
Yeah, because that was technically, it was to open and close that meeting, like, from our seats, yeah.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of January 15, 2025.
Is there a second?
I second that.
All those in favor?
Aye?
Aye. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn meeting.
I was gonna say, we could just sit forever.
I know. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? John?
Aye.
I knew it. All right, we are all set.